I, for one, am a 38-year-old woman. Yes, I am 38 years old. I just turned 38 a few days ago. I have no shame in that. I love myself. I love my body. I love everything. I love my mindset. Listen, I'm grateful to be here another year. But I'm 38 years old. I don't have a husband. I'm not married. No, I'm not. Have I been engaged? Yes. Have I had boyfriends? Oh, for sure. But I'm not married. Okay? I am not married. I've never been married. Okay? I don't have any kids. Yes, I don't have kids. Okay? Once upon a time in my 20s and early 30s, when I would tell people I don't have any kids, it was, they would glorify it like, oh girl, don't ever have kids. But now the closer you get to 40, people are like, what's wrong with you, girl? What you waiting on? I'm tired of seeing these posts about, oh, you're 36 years old and you don't have a man yet. You're undesirable. I don't want you. The other man didn't want you. I don't want you either. I'm single by choice. By choice. Because let's just be honest, right? If you are in the dating field and you're a woman right now, single in the dating field, there is a gender war that is literally going on right now. And you could very well be a sane individual, but because you have met a man who is broken and has been scarred by multiple women that he was supposed to be with, he's going to come in and not know how to treat you or handle who you are. He sees that you're healed and it's going to trigger his demons. So he's going to automatically feel like this is too good to be true, and he's going to end up self-sabotaging or just overall sabotaging the relationship. That's just kind of what's happening out here.
So what is market value? What does that mean as it relates to women? As men age, they seem to increase in value. One, because they tend to make more money as they get older and they become silver foxes. And, so of course, being a man and aging is going to be different than a woman. And you guys have heard me talk on this channel about the invisible woman or the invisible Black woman. Women become more invisible in society. Why is that? Because as a woman, most people are looking not at your money, not at your career necessarily, but the value you bring, being that beauty, fertility, youth, all the things that many of us don't even think about, that we just kind of have, that some of us don't even really work for. Many of us don't necessarily work for our fertility, or maybe we'll work for our beauty to some extent, as far as eating healthy, being in the gym, but beauty is something that in a lot of cases is given. So the goal then is to just kind of maintain that beauty and maybe glow up and enhance it and improve it, but it's something that you just have. Versus with men, oftentimes their value is very much connected to their actions, what they contribute to the world. And therefore, the harder they work, the more money they make, the more their value increases. And with women, because our value, and this is again, not intrinsic value, but our value in society is very much tied to how we look, how we appear, how feminine we are. Oftentimes, that is why as time progresses and we look older, even when we try to look younger, when it's obvious that we're older, that is why we don't get the same reverence that men get. And this is not necessarily fair, but life is not fair. This is just what it is, right? And again, and it doesn't mean that, you're getting older, now you got to start shrinking and, getting more, assuming you're ugly and, no, it's not that, but it's just the awareness to know that a woman who's 25 is going to have a different place in the world than a woman who's 45. And I am saying this, and I'm very proud of being in my 40s. I'm 42. I have never shied away from that on this channel. I openly tell people my age. I just told somebody my age today. But I recognize that this is something that is not the case for a lot of women. And real quick story time. I remember when I was in my 20s, I'm going to go with early to mid 20s, I had a birthday party. Well, it was a small private birthday party for a friend of mine who was much older than me. I mean, she was turning 41, and I had a cake. I don't think I made the cake, but I got a cake for her, and I put 41 on the cake. And when I tell you that day, our friendship ended. Like, it continued, but it really ended in her heart, because she was so angry at me for putting 41. Now in my mind, mind you, I'm in my 20s, so I'm oblivious to how women really feel about their age. And I didn't grow up with women who were ashamed of their age, so I assumed that she would be proud because she looked really good, right? She was fit, she looked amazing. So I just would be like, wow, you look amazing for your age. Why wouldn't you want people to know? She did not want anybody to know. And this was a private, small party, like for 8 people. It wasn't like this big, but on that day I learned about market value. I didn't realize I was learning about market value, but that was a quick, short lesson in market value and what that means to women personally and what it means at large, right? And so it's interesting as time passes to hear the stories of Holly Berry, to hear the stories of someone like Tyra Banks, who was recently on the runway after, I think, I forgot, like 20 years or something like that. She hadn't been on the runway, and she got dragged by some people because they talked about how now she is more full-figured. I mean, she's still not big, but in the world of modeling, she would be considered plus size. And so the sort of the big joke is like, oh, well, she kind of made fun of or kind of came down hard on plus size women, and now look at her, right? But a lot of that is she's older, right? I mean, she's not going to look like she did when she was in her 20s. It is something that has permeated our society and our reality, and it's something that's so pervasive. I want to explain this because I think that when this is talked about, women get offended, they're hurt, they are, completely just like, how dare, anyone, especially a woman, talk about this. But the reality is, this is just how the world works. And if you're not aware of it, if it's something that you kind of want to just go through life and pretend like it doesn't exist, like you, like a 50-year-old woman and a 28-year-old woman are viewed the same in society, if that is your mindset, you are going to be sadly let down. Think about a man who is wealthy, and most men who are wealthy the goal is to not die alone, right? The goal is to have a wife, to have children, to leave a legacy, to pass down your wealth. Like, it would be a shame to die as a wealthy man alone with all this wealth and like nobody to pass it down to. And similarly, beauty works kind of that way too, if we want to be honest. People look at beautiful women. You're a beautiful woman and you have not figured out how to secure a provider and a protector for yourself. There are going to be a lot of questions about why, right? Because there are women who are average who have been able to do this. So if you are extremely beautiful and you struggle in that area, it is going to be almost like a wealthy man who, has no one to pass down his wealth to, or a wealthy man who leaves absolutely no legacy. It is going to be looked at as a disgrace, as hard as that is to hear. But this is when we talk about the market. I look at it like the stock market or something like that, where it's volatile, right? There's a lot of competition, and your goal, just like when you invest, what do they say? Invest early and often. Invest early and often. So that means start when you're young and keep going. That doesn't mean date, doesn't mean sleep around and date around, But again, it just means you keep trying until you secure your protector and your provider. People who invest later in life, in most cases, will not get the same return on their investment that folks got who invested earlier, right? And so this is something important to understand. None of this means that you're completely doomed if you wait until you're 50 or 60, like Vivica Fox, like we've talked about. It doesn't mean that it won't be possible to find love. Of course you can find love. But just like with investing, when you invest later, often that comes with sometimes more limitations because the time span, you don't have as much time that if you would have started investing when you were 20, it gives you more time. Versus if you start investing at 60, you're going to be limited, right? And so oftentimes as a woman ages, she'll see that, of course, there are going to be men who want her. She's attractive. You could still be attractive at 65 and 70 years old. But those options are going to be different than the options that a 25 and 35-year-old woman and even a 45-year-old woman has. It's just going to be different options, right? And so the delusion comes in when women think that they can be 65, okay, or 60 or 55 and sort of compete with women who are half their age. And I think the best way to deal with this is to sort of date in your lane or on your level or whatever you call it, right? Like that's the best way to deal with it. Have realistic expectations. Just like when it comes to investing money, don't expect to put in, $500 a month and in 2 years have $1 million. No, you need to have very realistic expectations with investing money. Same thing goes with dating and relationships. There's a certain part of the market that I also feel like your Nene Leakes and those types of women who invest a lot to look younger. So Nene, I'm not sure how old she is, but I'm pretty sure she's in her at least her mid 50s. She looks amazing, but you could tell she invests a lot to look that way in her mid 50s. And I'm going to say that even something like that, I know she probably thinks that she's competing with the 20-something-year-old and looks better than them. But the reality is, even someone like a Nene Leakes is not going to qualify for the kind of man that she's probably positioning herself to get. Although I know she's dating, I think she's dating an African guy, who's like a silver fox and, handsome guy. But I'm speaking generally speaking, outside of this guy, and I think she actually had some issues with him. But outside of him, are all the men tripping over, each other to come be with Nene Leakes? I don't think so, right? Because her beauty is in many ways manufactured, right? And this goes back to you can't really manipulate the market, right? Nene Leakes is trying to manipulate it and to position herself as as extremely beautiful woman, which she is, but to compete in a market with younger women, instead of staying in her lane, she doesn't have to get all those surgeries. She got so many surgeries to, again, try to compete with younger women, in my opinion. I think that's why she got the surgery. She may have the body and, the face, whatever, because she got her nose done and all these different things. She does the filler, but the attitude, the femininity, the fertility, there are still some things lacking. And again, this is not about shaming Nene Leakes. This is about accepting where you are and embracing your lane. And that's going to be your best. That's going to be like where you're most powerful, as opposed to trying to fit yourself in all these spaces that you don't belong and get all these surgeries to become someone who men can tell. See, there's a difference between a woman who is younger and a woman who is trying to look younger. Those are two separate, and so that is not going to be as attractive. A woman who is trying to force herself to look like she's 30, who's actually 60, that's not necessarily that attractive, as opposed to you looking like a 60-year-old woman who just looks good, right? Just be that. Be a 45-year-old woman who looks good for her age, as opposed to a 45-year-old woman who's trying desperately to look 22. Though, so you have to understand the difference. And again, knowing you cannot manipulate the market. People are not stupid, and some of this goes back to even Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I don't know if I finished my last thought in one of my other videos about her, but people can tell when you are not being real or genuine, or when you're hiding something, and I think that's where a lot of the dialogue around Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is not, people think, oh, well, so-and-so's hating on her, you're hating on her. It's not about hating. It's like you can tell when someone is not being authentic, and, it gets sort of, the person gets blamed as just hating, when in fact they actually might be on to something, meaning myself and Tasha K and everyone else who has criticized Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. So again, hopefully I actually don't have notes for this video, because this is supposed to be just a quick insert, and I might again publish this separately from the one that is held up by YouTube. So in the event that I do publish this separately, please do give this video a like, share this video, subscribe to the channel, because I keep looking at my analytics and wondering, why aren't more of you guys subscribing? So please hit that subscribe button. I don't bite. I don't know what you're afraid of, but go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, become a channel member. Become a Black and Invisible channel member. And if you want to know all the benefits and the perks that you can get for being a channel member, you can click the link in the description box, and you can also hit that join button that you might see at the top there of your screen. I believe it's usually on the right hand side. Also, now is a great time to purchase my book, My Own Gaze, Memoir of an Invisible Black Woman. You can purchase the book on Amazon. And please do leave me a review if you read the book. And if you have read the book, leave me a review. Go to my website to learn more about what I do with my business, Curated Legacy LLC. It's Curated Legacy Media. It's a media company, but I also offer coaching and consulting if you want to start your own YouTube channel and or write your own book, or if you want to have another creative endeavor. I'll be happy to talk with you about your goals. This is Naka here, and I make things visible about modern Black women, and I highlight the things that Black women were not going to tell you. And as always, stay tuned for more videos.